Welcome to Intro Skippers, the podcast about entertainment from your friends in entertainment. My name is Kim. I'm an entertainment journalist.
My name is Jason, and I am an entertainer.
You almost got the cue. Today, we are talking about Hacks, Season 4's finale, but also the series as a whole, because we've never talked about it before, and we like it, and it's certainly prestige streaming TV.
Yes.
Jason, how are you doing first?
Oh, I was about to say something cool like, this is the episode where we hack and slash our way through our love of hacks, but
Oh, okay.
I'm doing great, though. I'm doing good. I had that in my head this morning during breakfast.
Okay,
but I did it anyway.
If you want to edit it to sound different, you can do that.
No, I think it's funnier this way.
Okay, good. And you're going to leave that in where you say it's funny?
Yep.
Well, okay. How am I doing? I'm freaking out a little. So IGN Live is this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
They scheduled 2 meet and greets for me.
Oh.
I only need 1 or less. I don't think it's going to have people, and I'm panicking a little. Jason, can you ask your followers to come and be nice to me?
Yes, everyone, if you're going to go to IGN Live, go to Kim's meet and greet. Maybe I'll be there too.
Put it on social.
Oh, you mean not to the 40 people that listen to this podcast?
Shut up.
We love you. We love you, 40 listeners. We love you so much.
Yes, we do.
But they're listening probably all over the world, quite frankly.
Probably not in Los Angeles. Well, it's in downtown Los Angeles on June 7th and 8th. That's a Saturday and Sunday. That's the weekend. And I'm going to be there the whole time. And I have designated meets and greets even.
Is one of them on Sunday?
They're both on Sunday. That's the problem. They're
go.
almost back to back on Sunday.
I'll go.
There's one from noon to 1. Then I eat lunch. Then it's 2 to 3. I don't know why they did this.
I mean, you're a meetable.
No one's going to go to this.
You're a meetable and greetable person. They're going to go.
I don't know, man.
They're going to go. Well, I'll go.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I can bring you back that USB cable that you left at the studio last time.
I didn't realize I did that, but thank you.
Sure, no problem. But let's talk about hacks.
Okay, I mean, you were doing some comedy off the top, and this show is supposed to be about comedy and the relationship between 2 different people in that field. Deborah Vance, an older Vegas comedian who has gone through an entire journey through the series Hacks, where she becomes a cultural icon, or even more of one, and a beloved figure. And now, in this season, a late-night talk show host. The first woman to host a late-night talk show, which I don't think has happened in real life.
Well, Joan Rivers had her own show for a little while.
Briefly. Well, I guess Deborah's was brief, too.
Mm-hmm. In fact, she often filled in for Johnny Carson. And when she got her own show offer, Johnny was not happy. And, they never spoke again. Yeah.
Come on, Johnny. That's very disappointing.
It is. Some Hollywood,
Well, that sucks.
Power
but it's
plays.
kind of like the state of late night sucks in general. I mean, the commentary they had on late night this season, which I guess was the late night season. It was. This was like a lifelong dream in the series. And it came to fruition in this season. And, okay, here's the spoiler. It ends.
And the segments that they did of the late night show itself were actually my least favorite parts of this season. This season was up and down for me. It nailed it in the penultimate episode.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that.
Whoa, that episode was awesome.
That should have been the finale. Should have been the finale.
That episode was incredible.
It was so good.
But it kind of, they got there. They definitely stuck the landing, but it took a while to get there for me. This season was a little bit of a drag.
I think this was the hardest season out of all 4 of them so far. It was renewed for a 5th season. It's previously been said by the show writer-creators that 5 would probably be the last. We'll see. Things can change. Things can always change. But if you've never seen Hacks, go watch Hacks. It's so funny. There are so many laugh out loud episodes constantly throughout it.
Yeah.
It's been very good. I would say 4 is the weakest of the 4. But 1, 2, and 3, bangers. Bangers after bangers. I used to get annoyed because Jean Smart would always win the Emmy for Best Actress in a comedy. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, damn it. Why does she get everything? But then I watched Hacks, and she deserves everything. She's so funny. I love this show. You know, I'm going to criticize it a lot in this episode, but man, do I love this show. It's a high recommendation. It's such a breeze to get through, and you are going to love the characters.
The way they started in season 1, as an entertainer, I have performed in Vegas my entire career because it's a staple tour stop. Mm-hmm. It also is, because I've lived in LA for the last 20 plus years, it's an easy drive to do a weekend in Vegas.
I'm going to Vegas this month, actually, to watch a concert. So
the
thesis stands.
What concert?
I'm going to go see Weird Al.
Oh, cool. Oh, so I thought you were going to see him in LA, too. You're going to do a double?
No, I actually just am going to go to Vegas. I don't really want to go to SoFi Stadium. I'd prefer... I mean, this sounds crazy. I'd prefer a smaller venue, and that's why I'm going to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
but
no, that's not crazy.
It's also like the middle of the week, and like I think that's the perfect time to go to Vegas. The rooms are cheap. It's not crowded. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be hot as hell, but I'll try and stay inside.
Weird Al in Vegas. That's awesome. Too bad it's not in the Sphere. That would be the icing on the cake.
I wish. It's in the Venetian.
Okay.
But there's 3 dates there. You know, I'm going to one of them. Not going to say which one. But yeah, I'm totally going to go see Weird Al. He's my favorite live performer.
I know, and I love that.
I mean,
about
besides you.
Oh, good
fuck.
save. Good save. No, come on. Weird Al's a legend. Weird Al's a legend.
Okay.
And I have actually met him twice and performed for him. Mm-hmm. Oddly.
Oh, wow. How nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Did you do a parody?
Weird Al's in the audience. No, it was for a fundraiser, and I was actually just the guitar player for Persia White, the actress / singer who you would know best from the show Girlfriends. And but she's very active in lots of charity organizations, especially this one was for, I believe, I know it was an animal charity, and it was something Acres, and I can't remember the name of it, and that's terrible right now, but it was a long time ago. But Weird Al was there in the audience, and then like I ran into him again a month later, and he pretended at least to have remembered me from the performance a month earlier.
Maybe he did remember you. Or
maybe he
he's
did.
Just a very kind man, and that shines through, and that's why I like him.
Either way, yeah, he's a kind man no matter what. Oh, but back what I was going to say about Vegas as a performer is they really nailed it, right? So this whole show starts in Vegas, and as someone who I've probably performed in many of those casinos, many of the small little theaters, on various tours. Sometimes I've even performed in the lobby of casinos before during the rodeo championships. But anyway, so I've been in all of those casinos. I probably stayed at almost all of them, performed at least half of them, and they really captured what it's like to see performers who maybe were bigger. So what we're trying to see with Deborah Vance, right, is they show somebody who was bigger back in the day, and then they give her own theater, because that happens. Mm-hmm. You see that a lot. You see that a lot with bigger performers that maybe they're slowing down a little bit, or they want to have time to do whatever.
Well, sometimes they'll even just do a residency. That's
yeah.
And they're still A-list performers.
Absolutely, because the money's just too good. The money's too good.
I would.
Yeah.
If I had that opportunity, I would do it.
Mm-hmm. And I thought that they really nailed that with establishing Deborah Vance's character. She's got her own line on QVC. In fact, they really lean into that, and it's like she practically runs QVC, at least like her portion of it. And then, you know, you see that side of it, and then of course her residency is finally ending.
Right.
And that's where it all...
And she keeps fighting to stay on, and like they have Jean do the stand-up comedy, and it's kind of like comedy that is not very appealing to me and let's say my age demographic, but perhaps to an older demographic.
Right.
And then she gets...
not even me, okay?
I'm not saying you're old, but I'm saying like maybe like a boomer demographic.
Right.
Like, oh, haha, great. Oh, you're doing that joke again? That's a little corny. But then she gets paired up with Ava Daniels, who is an up-and-coming comedy writer. They have the same manager, who is Jimmy Luchek. Jimmy and Kayla are my favorite characters, by the way. And she gets paired with her. It's this tumultuous journey to get there. Oh my gosh, please watch it. It's so funny. And Ava kind of injects new life into Deborah's routine. She becomes her writer. I think this show is their relationship. And the problem with season 4 is that it's just a lot of rehashing of the old. It's sort of, I know this show is written to be a will they, won't they, but in a almost like a romantic partner sense, but it's platonic. I know some people do ship them, but it's designed to be platonic. At least that's what the writers say. And it's sort of like building them up and tearing them down, and building them up and tearing them down. You know, Ava will open Deborah's eyes to things. Deborah will give her experience and knowledge to Ava. They'll make each other better. But ultimately, Deborah always lets Ava down, because Deborah she's old school. She came up in a time where maybe girls weren't a thing, and it was like one girl in the room, and she is very protective and defensive and pretty selfish, to be honest. That isn't to say she's a completely irredeemable character. I love Deborah. Again, she's just so well written. I can see why the show gets the awards it gets. But the show is about this up and down with them. And season 4 starts on a major down, because season 3 ends in pretty much Ava taking the manipulative role that Deborah always has had, and manipulates her into making her head writer of her show, which, by the way, she was going to do in the first place, but she felt like pressured by the studio to make one of the older writers that was already there the head writer. And she was a little bit threatened, like, oh, they're going to take this away from you if you don't do it. You're going to be canceled if you don't do it. They're not going to like you if you don't do it. And those old insecurities caused Deborah to let her go. And Ava pushes her way back in, but using Deborah's cutthroat style. And so we start this season. They're enemies for 6 out of 10 episodes. That's too long. It's too long. It was painful.
It was.
And painful beyond just, you know, from the writing point of view, what it feels like to lose your best friend, and what it feels like to feel alone, and what it feels like to be in an ongoing fight. It was just too long. I needed them back together in episode 3, not episode 6.
Right. Yeah. And then the odd way that that they do come back together, and then don't tell Jimmy, and that becomes a thing. And, you know, by the way, Jimmy is also one of my favorite characters, and he's played by Paul Downs, who is one of the creators.
Yes, and he's one of the 3 writers with Lucia and Jen, and people think they're a throuple. They're not, though. Paul and Lucia are married.
Well, you know what's funny about Paul is that I don't know Paul. I've never met him, but I have this odd sense of, like, I'm sort of proud of him, because I remember him from Broad City as just like their friend that worked at the gym, and he was in like just a few episodes here and there, you know.
He was a creative there too, though.
See, I didn't know that. But so I'm like, oh, Jimmy from the gym. I'm with you.
I love him. Mm-hmm. I love how, I think a lot of Jimmy is him. I think Jimmy's thing this season, Jimmy and Kayla, they already did strike out on their own, but they're building it up more. They left the managerial company that they worked for before. And yeah, they're both Nepo babies. It used to be Jimmy's dad used to work there. He passed away. Jimmy worked his way up. Kayla was, I think, a receptionist or an assistant. And
she was a
she's
terrible assistant.
She's terrible. But she actually did a really good job this season because all the deals Kayla made. All the good ideas Kayla had. I mean, yeah, she's wrapped in a very ridiculous package. But I love her. I was listening to this other podcast and they asked, are you a Deborah or an Ava? And I was like, no. The real question is, are you a Jimmy or are you a Kayla?
It definitely became that way.
I love them. I think the next natural step, and they basically I feel like they put breadcrumbs of this out, is a Jimmy Kayla spinoff, Luchek and Schaefer. Let's see what they're doing. With their
that would be
great
fun.
Assistant Randy, who learned what movies were like last week.
And then just consumed them all and knows everything about them.
Yeah, she's owning it.
Was she Amish? Her character's Amish or a Mennonite?
She started as she started as an Orthodox Jewish person from New York, and then she came and she was like, and now I'm a lesbian. I think I'm atheist. Have you ever heard of Sandra Bullock? You should hire her. I just saw Speed. It's my first movie ever.
Oh my goodness.
But she did actually come in clutch later in the season with some good ideas and some smart problem solving. So, sometimes it's hard to add a new character. But I love Randy. I love her. She's played by Robbie Hoffman, who is married to Gabby from The Traitors. Jason.
What? Wild. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're both comedy geniuses. What a power couple. Anyway, we have to talk about Hacks.
Yes.
And not
and there's so much to talk about still.
Yeah.
So
this season was rougher for me. I think there was a lot of wheel spinning. I didn't really, I already said I think they spent too much time fighting, but there were parts that were kind of pointless, like the thing with Kristen Bell and Jimmy Kimmel. There were some funny moments, as always. Like, this show is great and lousy with great one-liners that are just hilarious out of nowhere.
Oh, speaking of that, I wanted to go back to the beginning just for a minute, because you were talking about Deborah's material at the very beginning of the show, her stand-up material. And I think what that equates to is there's a certain type of audience that goes to Vegas shows that it's almost like they want to hear the hits. They want to hear the nostalgia. It's like going to see your favorite band from the 70s or going to see the Eagles. You want to hear Hotel California.
There's so many legacy acts there, and even covers of legacy acts there.
Right.
There's a huge demo that wants that.
The tribute acts. So
exactly.
I think that's what they were trying to show, and they really nailed it. But yeah, back to season 4, a lot of the things that felt pointless to me, and I know that they even tried to make them part of the plot, was any footage of Deborah hosting the show itself pulled me out of it in a weird way, because I was like,
why?
Well, I know that was, as a character, what she was aspiring to be for 4 seasons. But then watching her do it, I felt like I didn't need to see that much of her doing it. I wanted to see more behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, but this is her dream, and we had to show it, right?
Yeah.
Because she's been saying, part of the mythos is she had a chance to do it back in the day in the 70s, and she lost it because I think at the time, her husband at the time, she and him were going through a major rough patch, and he ended up marrying her sister, and she hated them both for it. And the story was that she burnt down a house, but that's not really what happened. She just lets that story persist out there because she's kind of myth building or brand building for herself.
Sure.
And yeah, it's like trying to recapture something you lost, which is something I'm currently doing now. So I really related to her in that moment.
They did such an amazing job of creating a history for Deborah Vance. When there's episodes where she's looking back through the vault of her material. And that could have been Jean Smart doing stand-up
No, that was her.
Yeah. And I love that they were able to piece all of that together to create the entire history of Deborah Vance throughout the decades.
She really does seem like a real person and a real celebrity, because it's very, like, the first 3 seasons really sow those seeds of who she is, where she's been, what she's had to do, what she pretends to be, how she got there, whose throat she had to cut. And she feels lived in. I mean, people have said she is supposed to be based on Joan Rivers. I can see hints of it here and there, but she's very much her own character.
Well, maybe then that's why in the Hacks universe, Deborah is the first woman to ever host late night, because maybe Joan Rivers doesn't exist in the Hacks universe.
I don't think she's ever mentioned Joan Rivers.
I don't
Though
think so.
Carol Burnett was in this season.
As Carol Burnett.
As herself and as a comedy legend like she is in real life. And I thought her scene was so sweet when, Deborah was trying to get advice. She says, "Did you ever have stage fright?" And Carol says, "Yeah, I did at first. You can't be getting stage fright. You've been doing this almost as long as I have." And Deborah says, "Well, I mean, I never have until now," because she's doing something new, like you mentioned. And Carol says, "Well, you know what they always used to say, you should picture the audience naked." Deborah says, "Right." And Carol says, "I know, it's kind of creepy. And then, of course, when they get older, it's even nauseating. So that didn't work for me. But you know what did? I would pick one person in the audience, and I would do the show just for them." And that's what Deborah does. And she kind of gets her light back and her spark of who she used to be after that. And that person is Ava.
Mm-hmm.
Admit to yourself that you love each other, you dumb bitches. Sorry, I can say that. I'm a woman. I love you.
And the show did
great. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, the show did a great job of showing. The show did a great job of showing us, the audience, that when you see the studio audience completely disappear and Deborah's doing the show just for Ava by herself, that was really sweet.
That really touched me. I was just like, oh, she does love her.
You know, I met Carol Burnett once.
Oh,
randomly.
I wish I did.
It was the coolest thing ever, because I was like I was a friend. Hold on, let me figure this out. One of her daughters was a singer, and she had a band, and so I was casually friends with like some people in the band. So I was at the sound check, and then Carol Burnett showed up at the sound check, and I got to meet her and talk with her for a few minutes, and that was the thing.
She's amazing.
She was incredible, and that was the thing where you call your parents. Like this. Okay, this is a call your parents moment. Like, hey, I met Carol Burnett. How cool is that? You know.
Oh, that's rad. I don't think I've ever called my parents for any celebrity I've met.
But would you if you met Carol Burnett?
They've never mentioned they like Carol Burnett. But you know what? I'd probably call my partner and tell him.
Yeah. I mean, that's a time-stopping moment. I love that they had her on there. And I also loved her on the last season of Better Call Saul.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Okay.
This is going to be weird, but I've never seen Better Call Saul, and I gave up on Breaking Bad.
Podcast canceled.
Oh, no.
No, hey, to each their own. But I mean, you're missing out on like 2 of the best television shows in the history of television. But whatever you want to do, whatever floats your boat.
I just got too anxious and I had to stop. I was binging it and I was like, I can't handle this, the stress, and I stopped midway through.
They are stressful shows, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So no fault there. I get it.
I have enough stress in my real life, but maybe I'll get to it when things get boring again.
Okay. Yeah, next time you're like, Jason, I'm bored. I'm like, start watching Breaking Bad.
One of my favorite episodes this season was Mrs. Table, and that's the episode where Ava is the head writer, and she flips out, and she just leaves the studio. She crashes her car through the gate. The Mrs. Table scene is excellent. So Ava's trying her best to be a cool boss, like the boss she always wished she had. and she's trying to always include everyone and make them feel seen and make everyone feel good. And she tries to be their friend, and it ultimately doesn't work. She finds out they have a text thread that she's not on. She's not considered
That's the
cool.
worst.
She doesn't get invited to things because she's the boss. And then she's been subsidizing the writers' lunches because they only get a little bit from the studio. So she's paying for their lunches. So she finds out, like, in their writing room that they've been wasting money on their lunches.
Yes, they
She
add.
goes,
Oh,
Branzino? Whoa, Branzino? Who's Mrs. Table? And they say, well, sometimes we order extra food for the table. We just call it Mrs. Table. And she goes, you ordered a whole bone-in Branzino for the table? And they say, well, you know, sometimes it's Branzino, sometimes it's fries, sometimes it's lobster rolls. And Ava goes, lobster rolls? I have been subsidizing lobster rolls for Mrs. Table, a not real person. A not real person is getting $48 Branzino. And she's 72. This is so disrespectful. I've been working so hard. I get here every morning at 5:30 on the dot. One time I walked in on the janitor jerking off because he didn't think anyone else was here, and I didn't report it because he probably doesn't get paid a living wage. And by the way, Branzino doesn't even travel well. You should never order it to go. And she just throws the Branzino against the window.
mm-hmm.
And she just screams, driving out of the studio. And Deborah,
I loved
go
that
ahead.
rant so much, especially when she brought in the part about the janitor and how he
was
doesn't get paid.
jerking off.
And he doesn't
And
get
it's
paid
not
a living wage.
wage.
That was brilliant. That was
Well,
brilliant.
she does care about that kind of thing.
She does.
She cares a lot about pay inequity. And Deborah finally snaps out and was like, oh no, I've been setting up Ava to fail. I've been treating her badly, which is true. And she goes to the beach because she has like some girl at the lesbian concert she was looking for Ava in, because she just assumes was like, oh, you can do Find My iPhone and find her. And then she does have like Find My Friends, and she sees that at the beach, and she goes and she sees a woman with red hair in the water just walking into the water, and she's like, oh no, Ava's gonna drown herself. And she runs out in her full fur coat.
Mm-hmm. Did
And
you see
it's
the
not
behind the
her.
scenes on that, by the way?
Yeah, where Jean's just like in the water.
Yeah,
at
and
the
they
studio.
and they made the water 82 degrees for Jean,
Well,
so that she
you know,
would. Yeah.
Jean's up in years, and she's a star.
Mm-hmm. No, good for them. I thought that was great. It was very, very nice of them to do that.
That episode was full of good quotes. So she catches her. They go to the oyster shack on the beach, and Deborah's soaking wet and looks drowned. And that's, you know, Deborah always looks good. Deborah always puts a lot of care into her appearance, but she looks like shit. And she's talking to Ava, and she's like, I wouldn't kill myself that way. Like some horrible Virginia Woolf walking to the cold water. I'd use poison or a suicide vest at Watch What Happens Live. They both say that part together because they've obviously talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
And then she breaks my heart because Deborah says to her, I promise I'll make it up to you. And Ava says, don't say that. Please don't say that, because when you say that, I want to believe you. And it's true. Deborah always lets her down. She always breaks her heart. Deborah is always running, and Ava is always chasing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the show.
Can we talk about my favorite episode?
Yes. Is it 9?
It is episode 9, A Slippery Slope.
It's such a good episode. It's probably the best one of the season, but I'm just
It
saying
is.
Mrs. Table was a favorite.
Oh, but before we get there, I did think of one other thing, because when they like to make fun of, like in a ironic way, I would say, they like to make fun of Ava's extreme moral stances sometimes, because I believe in season 2, she says something like, I'm just gonna go off into the woods somewhere and just don't do anything, and then Jimmy goes, on stolen land. And then she couldn't.
Goes, oh, you're right. Well, I mean, Ava has strong social and moral causes. Ava is a LGBTQ plus. She is a Gen Z generation member, and they contrast just constantly. But, you know, Ava is good for Deborah and Deborah is good for Ava. They're also both very terrible for each other, and they need to work on that every season.
How much of Hannah Einbinder do you think we're seeing in Ava?
A lot. I think a lot of the clothes are actually Hannah's. You know, like the Ace Ventura
sense.
Pet Detective fit.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Hannah had a hand in that.
Now, and before we talk about my final episode, I'm jumping around again. Sorry. My, of course, Hannah Einbinder, her mother, is a comedy,
Lorraine
also
Newman.
a comedy legend. And I worked with Lorraine Newman recently. And then about a week, and it was very nice, and we talked a little bit afterwards, but I didn't say anything. You know, it was very just pleasantries back and forth. But then a week later, I ran into her at the Titmouse animation anniversary party.
Wait, I was there.
You were.
Why didn't I meet Lorraine Newman?
Because she was leaving. She was on her way out. I know. And it was it was at one point when we got separated, and then there was Lorraine Newman.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But
go ahead. Tell your story.
So I decided to take a chance. Since what was really cool, she remembered me because we had just worked together like 4 days earlier. So it was like perfect, right? So I was like, you know what? I just watched another episode of Hacks. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm going to take a chance and I'm going to tell her how great her daughter is on Hacks. And I'm going to hope that they have a good relationship. Because if there's anything you know about the Hollywood daughters and sons and moms and dads, you never know like who's feuding with who. They could be feuding with each other. You just don't know. So sometimes you don't take a chance. But I took a chance.
I know.
I took a chance and I told her how much I loved Hacks and how great her daughter was on it. And she lit up. She was so proud, and she was like, "Oh, I'll tell her," which is really funny that she said that. But you know, but she lit up and was just really, really proud of her daughter. And I thought, oh, awesome, because her daughter is awesome. So she. That's basically my whole story, just that I was able to convey my compliments through her mom to Hannah Einbinder.
I hate you.
Ah!
I'm so jealous.
Did I not tell you that Lorraine Newman was there?
No, you told me Eric Bauza was there, and I was jealous of that. But now I'm because I've met him before, and he's very nice too. But yes. Lorraine Newman, I've never met. I know they have a good relationship because Hannah brought her up in her stand-up special in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Which I hadn't seen yet. I watched it after
Well,
that,
I have.
So. Okay. Well, no, I saw it now.
I'm sorry. Just let me be bitter and ugly in private.
All right.
While you do the podcast on your own now.
So, a slippery slope. And what an amazing episode. So many things happened in that episode. A lot of twists, a lot of turns. But I did think of you at one point.
Me?
Specifically, yes. And it has to do with our podcast. Because do you recall in some other episode, I don't know when, you asked me if I could tell if somebody was on cocaine or not.
Uh-huh.
From all of
Who
my
was on cocaine?
Dance Mom.
Dance Mom? Oh yeah, she got boofed.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get boofed. No, Jimmy only.
And that whole scene with Dance Mom and them trying to get her up to go on stage. I'm not saying that I've ever seen anything like that.
Yes, you have.
But I will say I know when someone's on cocaine or not, and we'll just leave it at that. And okay. I just want to say they nailed it, okay?
Yeah, she's a good actor.
Yeah, she's really, really good.
Oh, I'm renting this place. It's $25,000 a week. And I'm texting Adam Levine. Oh, no.
And I'm not a mom. I don't have kids.
I'm the mother of dance. Why does no one get that?
Yeah. And she's like, it's not my, I can't remember the exact quote, but she said something to Jimmy along the lines of like, people, you know, it's not on me if people just assume that I'm a mom. And Jimmy's like, your name's Dance Mom. It kind of is on you.
Jimmy's always right.
Mm-hmm.
I loved when they found her on the fake set for Desperate Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
And they went, Mary Alice, what have you done? And that is a line from Desperate Housewives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess her name was Mary Alice. Her dances were so basic, though. I mean, again, I think that's on purpose. But, like,
Right.
I could never see that going viral. But maybe I don't understand. I don't want to say mom talk because that's the Mormon mom's name. But, you know, dancing, whatever has Dance Mom in their algorithm, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the charm about when people like Dance Mom go viral is it can't be too perfect, right? It can't be. There's a guy I follow on TikTok that like jams out to metal songs in his car, and he's a dad, and he has like a gazillion followers. But
Metal dad.
yeah, there's something like charming about that, and I think that's what they were trying to portray with Dance Mom. That's like, yeah, she can't really dance that well. There's simple dances, and she's not like a perfect dancer, but there's something relatable about her, I guess is what they're trying to do.
Okay.
It made sense to me.
Well, it was really funny. We also got a return of Caitlin Olsen as Deborah's daughter, DJ Vance. By the way, DJ Vance, change your name, girl. Change your name.
Oh, you mean she should reverse the letters?
No, your name is now Lisa. I don't know anything else.
But they named her that earlier in the season,
Yeah,
right?
well, she's Deborah Jr., which is so egotistical and so Deborah.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I have a mother-daughter junior situation in my family too. And
Okay.
I will say the one who did the naming was very egotistical.
Well, I don't have kids, but I thought it would have been funny to, or not funny, but if there was a Jason Jr., then his nickname could be JJ.
That's not too bad.
You know?
It's kind of
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
My sister, had she been born a boy, it would have been a junior. And instead she got the feminine diminutive version of my dad's name. Yeah. I think they planned on only one girl, and they blew both good names they had on me. Sorry.
This might be another podcast.
Love you, sis. Overall, though, I think episode 9 should have been the finale. It was by far the best episode of the season. This is when Deborah, she gets an ultimatum, which is fire Ava or lose the show. And this has been Deborah's whole life dream. And it's a struggle. And it really seems like she's going to go one way. But then she goes the other. And her heart shines through. And you know what? They have to start all over again. And that's okay. I would say episode 10 probably should have been a season, the next season opener.
Yeah.
But, you know, sure, it's there. And maybe we can start season 5 even quicker and be off to an even better running start.
I mean, it was really cool that they got to go to Singapore.
Yeah.
And we got to see pieces of Singapore that I've never seen before.
Well, I knew the airport immediately when I saw it.
Yeah, I knew that
A
much.
one-of-a-kind airport. But it just went and went. And I was like, is this a tourism episode for Singapore? I think it was. And yeah, so Deborah finds a loophole. It, you know, previously it was the head of the network that her talk show was on said, we've got you, we own you, you can't go on a mic in 18 months. Not at all.
You can't even sing in the shower.
I was fully expecting Conan O'Brien to be a cameo because this happened to him.
Right.
And then the world got behind Conan and people love Conan. I love Conan. And that didn't happen. That was fully what I expected to happen in episode 10. Or my other idea was Deborah empowers Ava to be a performer. But neither happened. I mean, I guess it's is it regression for Deborah to just be, back to her egotistical self again?
I mean, she certainly did in that episode until the very
yeah.
end.
Big time. She was so mean to Ava too when she was saying, hey, I'm worried about you. You feel lost. You're just treading water. You're not writing new material. You're drinking too much. And she was just really mean to her. Like,
yeah.
And to the writing's credit, Ava was like, I see what you're doing. Fine. Have it your way. And it's like, it's often so sad because, I mean, I guess the only answer, if you're a Deborah or an Ava, if you're a decent person, the answer has to be Ava.
Yeah.
Even though Ava is very annoying. I love her, but she's very annoying.
I mean, there's probably pieces of Deborah and Ava in all of us, right?
Yeah, probably.
At certain times.
Are you a Jimmy or a Kayla?
Well, I love Jimmy, but Kayla's I've really come around to Kayla.
I've always loved her.
When Kayla first was introduced as a character, she almost felt like she belonged in a different television show.
Mm-hmm. She's like a cartoon character almost.
Yeah, but I've really come around to her, and she's really come a long way. And I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with those two professionally and possibly romantically.
No,
we'll see.
Don't get them together. They're not. No.
Even then, he's like, "Are we a couple?
People?
Are we a couple?" Remember?
They're a couple of friends.
Yeah.
No, I actually saw that Megan Statler, who plays Kayla, had a pitch for what happens to Kayla next. And she said she wanted it to be that Kayla gets pregnant, but she doesn't know who the dad is. And then Jimmy steps up to be the dad, even though he's not the dad.
Aw. That's sweet.
Yeah.
But since she said that, I'm assuming we won't see that.
No.
Okay.
Maybe in the Statler and Luchek spinoff that we all want.
Yeah.
That's what we want. That's what we want. We want to see them manage kids and animals, two of the most easy to get along with acting groups there are.
Lassie bit another person.
Again?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, and he's in this room, and he's got this oozing wound from the dog, and the guy's like, I thought you were eating kimchi in here. What's that smell? Ugh. It's his wound. Oh, poor Jimmy.
Anyway, what a great show.
Love it. Again, if you haven't picked it up, despite our complaints, we love Hacks. Go watch Hacks if you haven't.
And I feel like that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah. So we're all going to come to my meet and greets.
Yep. This Sunday at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All of Kim's meet and greets at IGN Live.
Oh, shit.
Downtown somewhere by...
Downtown LA at the Reef. Please come and save me from loneliness and despair.
All right. I'll come and I'll hold my Kim signs up.
Oh, jeez. All right. Thank you. I was talking to the audience.
Oh.
But okay.
Now
what?
I need to make a Kim sign.
Now we are both Deborah and Ava. It is complete. The theme is intact, and this episode was great. 5 stars. Bye-bye, everyone.
Intro Skippers with Jason Charles Miller and Kim Horcher is produced and edited by Kim Horcher and Jason Charles Miller. The name order doesn't really matter. Additional writing by Kim Horcher. Theme song and incidental music by Jason Charles Miller. Take it away, me. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars only, please. And you might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question? Email us at introskipperspod@gmail.com. That too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Intro Skippers on your favorite podcast platform. All right, for getting this far, you get a reward. I stopped talking.